Everybody, everybody. Oh my God, I got a lady on the channel today. She from across the pond, the big lake, the ocean, in the old world, I guess they used to call it. Oh my God, and check it out. And she got that accent. That accent, man, that accent, that kind of sexy. And she good looking sister too. Good looking sister too, and she gonna blow your mind with some Black history, with what's going on in her part of the world. Strong inspirations. We are international. I ain't playing with you, my friends. I'm gonna find the people somehow. I'm gonna beg them. I'm gonna do whatever I can, and they vet me. They vet me, and I understand that. I got no problem. And you know what happens? Because of the people that I've had on the show so far, and will have, and maybe my questions and what I'm trying to do. They sympathize, and they want people to hear this, really.
Right.
People to hear these stories so that maybe it can, and this is my mission too, is to inspire, to entertain, and to educate. And so they are under that auspices. All right. Uh, I forgot to tell you, my name is Anthony Brogdon. I got super excited. Man, let me tell you something. I've said this a few times, and I'm gonna say it this time. I ain't sleep well last night thinking about this because I'm thinking, what am I ask? Whatever, and I just flow with it. And she's a solid sister, man. I'm telling you, a couple people over there I had said that I had to interview with. I got her coming on the channel. She said, "Ooh, you in all grass right now, young man." I said, "Oh my God." So hit the subscribe button on Strong Inspirations. I'm going to keep giving it to you until you do, and it's free. It don't ask no information. Hit the like button on this video because there is no love button. It's just a like button. Hit the notifications bell for when the videos come up. You get a ding, a shot. Your lights flicker in and off on your house. Your car horn goes off. Your dog and cat barks. Something to let you know that there is some new material here, some new content, some new discussion on Strong Inspiration. And my friends, and I really ask that you do this for me, and let's call it a personal favor. Tell somebody about Strong Inspiration. Don't keep it to yourself. Man, don't be running around here knowing and spewing all this knowledge, and then you act like, well, I can't tell them I didn't read the book. You can't, you know what I mean? Do that. Keep it to yourself. Don't do that. Come on, my friends, because we jamming. And I'm not going to tell you where she's from, but y'all might see my T-shirt. I even got dressed for it. You'll see my T-shirt here because I've been to her part of the country. I've been there, had a good time. And then did you see the one I did out of her country with the guy who, and this happens often, and many of them are probably in this same scenario. They are actually of a Jamaican or Caribbean descent, and then many years ago, the government said, hey, we need some people to do these, and I don't mean no disrespect in this, these medial jobs. So can y'all come back over here to London? We'll give you a fair wage. We ain't gonna treat you right though. We ain't gonna treat you right, but we're gonna give you a shot at it. It ain't gonna be so bad. So come back over here to the UK. And there are several people on the show that talk about that. And I even got one lady on the show who is out of that area and left and came to America and is living in America. Watch her video. Watch some of those other ones. Just put in that search bar, England, and it'll come up. How about this one? I got a lady on the channel, and I didn't really know this, but I've heard these stories that there were Black women in the monarchy who were queens. You see what happened is them sisters and all of them, they look good. So them guys get caught up. They meet one of them and they educated, sophisticated, and sexy and all that. And they say, man, I will make you my queen. And they really mean it. There have been queens in the British monarchy, Black women. Watch that video. The sister comes out of a museum out of the New York area. Well, look for that one. Did you see the one I did? I'm gonna stay on my international contact just for a second longer. The guy I did out of South Africa, this guy said he colored. I said, well, what does that mean? He got some white in his family. He said, I got a little advantage being colored. He said, but at the same token, I lived through apartheid. Apartheid was nothing more than Jim Crow. It was devastating. Mm. And the people in America and around the world who were singing the apartheid, that helped abolish that. And then you had that strong brother who was in that prison cell all them years. He come out. My man, he go from prison cell to the presidency. Y'all know the story. Watch that video. I got a lady on the channel from Ireland, and she talks about how the Irish people, the people in this lady on my show today, they, not her, but other folks out of her area did not like Irish. It was something about Irish people they didn't like. They treated them like they might have treated and probably did treat Black folk. Mm-hmm. So they get to Ireland, they get this mistreatment. This lady says she knows some Irish people that came to America and then they became enslavers. Watch that video. And then I got one of a lady out of Australia. I had heard of the original Black folk of Australia, but I didn't, they call them Aborigines or something like that. I can't pronounce it. But they got another title to it and stuff. So I didn't put the connection together, but they Black folk. But then I thought Australia was all white, and that is not the case. Mm-hmm. I'm jamming here, and you're gonna like this lady that come on this show right today. Everybody, a couple of housekeeping things. Y'all might know I got a movie out. I did this 3 years of my life on the rise of Black business in America. And one of the key things, and it's a long segment in the film, there were slaves here in America who owned businesses. There was a way for them to be able to do this. And, it's always a money game anyway. So if your man said, hey, you can make me some money, I'll let you do your thing. And then I might do a little fair treatment for you, let you keep some of it. They own business and then use the profits to buy their freedom. Big segment in my documentary. It's streaming on Amazon, and it's streaming on Amazon in her part of the world. You can watch it in her part of the world. Check that out. Then also, I follow through on mine. And so I wrote this book, and it's very similar to the movie, but it's more facts. Talk about more stuff, because it's book form. And to tell you the truth, my friends, I ain't no big book reader. I need to read more, and I'm going to read more. That's my charge to myself. And so if you can give me a skinny book that really got a lot of information, and that's what this book is, because I don't add no commentary. I let the facts stand on its own merit. But I do give you the link to where I found it so you can find out more. I let the facts stand on its own merit so you can get and say, And that's what I do in my book. It's called Black Business Book. 2 more things in regards to the book. Every 10th book I sell, I donate one to a school. I didn't know that kind of information. And I want my students, my brothers and sisters of all nationalities here in America and across the globe, if possible, to know these kind of things. It's going to inspire you to know that there were brothers and sisters under that condition who still succeeded. And that's what I talk about in my book and more. And I'm so confident that you'll learn something new. You buy the book and you say, hey, man, I knew everything in that book. I give your money back. A book with a money back guarantee. Boom, shakalaka. I ain't playing with y'all. But then you ain't got to send me the book back. Just give it to somebody who ain't as smart as you. That's all. Do that, my friends. Now, and I mean this what I'm about to say. Y'all know what's coming next. I like that word strong a lot. Strong is my favorite word. Strong stands for a lot of things. I try to be a strong man. I even, every now and then lift little weights and stuff like that. I'm an old guy, though. but so it ain't as what I used to be. But I try to keep it together. And in my world, strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to my guest today. She's a strong sister with that accent. You're going to love it. Come on, introduce yourself. Thank you for being on the channel.
Hi, good afternoon, my fine people. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a complete honor. My name is Natasha Vigille. My friends, that's you guys, call me Tasha. I am the founder of Black Wall Street, London. We are an Afrocentric retail store and business development hub. Before I move into that, I just want to say again, thank you so much for having me. I saw you some time ago on the Black Books webinar where I actually got the pleasure of seeing your film.
Oh, really?
Business in the Black.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. So this was some time ago, but it really inspired me, and that's what I bring forward. The inspiration that you wrote about in your book, that you were documenting in your movie, in your film. But the positive aspects of that, we can be an epicenter of Black business and culture, and that's really where the core of my concept comes from.
I love it. Okay, well, and I told y'all you're gonna like that accent. That accent is sexy, everybody. So let me ask you a couple questions about yourself personally, just to let my viewers know you. Where were you born?
I was born in London, in England, to parents who are Jamaican and Dominican. Yeah, but I have family all over West Indies and Africa. But I was born and bred in London.
Okay, you were born in the Black neighborhood in London. Is there a Black neighborhood?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What's it called?
It's East London. I'm an East Londoner at heart. I was born at home in Stratford. So that's just by the Bow Bells. So I am a Londoner at heart, even though my origins are obviously West Indies.
Okay. You were born there, and you went to grade school and all that. Did you go? Was your grade school all Black, or did it was mixed students?
Yeah, so I was blessed. I kind of got the best of both worlds. So I went to a public school, obviously in my younger years, but I was also, I guess, honoured to go to a boarding school as well, which was in the countryside. So I got to see and experience cultures, like a melting pot of cultures within my boarding school, people from all over the world, Black, white, yellow, and everything in between. So I think that's where my inspiration also comes from, is my schooling years, and then after boarding school, I returned to public school again. So I got, both sides of the fence, so to speak.
Okay, let me ask you this, since you said it, is public school, is it a good schooling, that public school, or it's not as great as boarding school? What's that dynamic, may I ask?
Yeah, I mean, being honest, the dynamics would be, or the difference would be, in my opinion, is that in public school, there are, let's say, for example, 35 kids to one teacher.
I got you.
In boarding school, you get much more individual attention. So the classes, the capacity was much smaller. So we had maybe 10 or 15 pupils to one teacher. And that is the difference between night and day, that individual attention, whether you need it or not, nipping us in the bud and giving us that focus, instead of us just being a group of collective children. We were, individual characters. And I benefited from that most definitely.
Okay, let me ask you this then. In the public school that you went to, is it like here in Detroit, we got, and I tell you, I was fortunate enough, we got a public school, a high school, that you have to qualify to get in. And so as a result of that, and I qualified, I had good grades back in those days. I was able to associate with other kids who really wanted to go to college and really thought of it. And then it was a great education. Is there a dynamic that some public school, maybe because of the neighborhood, was a little bit better than other public schools, and you might have wanted to go across town to get to one that said, okay, we qualify you to get here? Is there anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, here, back in the day when we were at school, it was more about area codes. So if you lived in a certain area, you were automatically allocated a certain school within that area, catchment area. My mum absolutely rebelled against the system after paying good money for me to go to boarding school at a young age, to feed my mind. The local government actually said to my mum that no, I must go to this certain school, which was where we were living, which was a Black neighborhood, I guess you could say. And my mum refused to do that. And she sent me to a secondary school outside of my catchment area, predominantly white. I was pretty much, spot the blackhead in school in class.
Really?
But yeah, she rebelled, and she actually kept me off school for a year and a half, almost 2 years, fighting her case, because she believed that she had the right to put her child wherever she wanted her child to be, and not just be fitted into the pigeonhole that the government tells you that you have to do. So my mum was a storm fighter.
Did that make the news or something like that, her fight?
No, it didn't make the news. Back in those days, I guess it was no big deal. It was just another black woman fighting for the rights for her kids, I guess. So no papers were made. She was chastised for it. They wanted to take her to court and whatnot. And she fought all the way. And there's loopholes as well. I mean, nobody says that we have to go to the certain schools allocated. It's just that's the norm. So people follow like sheep. But yeah, my mum saw differently.
Did she set precedents where other parents started doing that as a result of her being able to win that?
I don't think so. I think she moved quietly. I think her focus was on her kids, I'm sure some people were inspired by it, but I don't remember. And I was young as well, so I don't remember a big hoo-ha about it. We've had conversations, but, she's told me that she was just adamant that she'd started my education off really well and paid good money for it. And she wanted us to go where she wanted us to go. So it did set a precedent for my younger brother, because me being at this school enabled him to follow suit. And normally he would have just gone to the normal area catchment code school that we were allocated. So yeah, it set a precedent in one way, I guess you could say.
Okay, let me ask you this, and I'll be perfectly honest. In some of those other schools that we have in those neighborhoods, all black neighborhoods, the black kids are fighting. They don't have the same desire for the education, or I won't say they have. It's not a blanket statement. Trust me, great kids come out of those. Would that have been your plight if you'd have gone to that school? You would have had to fight. You know what I mean? And it would have been some different dynamics.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all know the subconscious bias or the unconscious bias, and the manufactured way that they are nipping us in the bud at us early years, to train us for life.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think it's a hard one to say, because you are a product of your environment, I believe. So I know the difference between myself going to boarding school and the school outside of my catchment area, to the behaviours that I see with people who are my friends, with no disrespect intended. Exactly. Their mentality, their box, their box is very small in my eyes, because you are a product of your environment and you eat what you're fed.
That's right.
So it's all manufactured that way, I believe.
Let's talk about this for a second. You said you went to a boarding school. A boarding school meant you stayed there. You is that what that meant?
Yeah. At a very early age, in junior school, I must have been around 6, 7. I was told that I was exceeding my level of thought with the other kids around me. Not just me, there was a handful of us. And, my mum was given the suggestion of boarding school. We looked into it. My mum was very strict in one way, but she was very open in regards to us having a free mind. And she actually gave me, 5 different manuals or brochures to look at. And I actually picked the school myself, obviously with her guidance. So that's how it kind of amounted. So I've always kind of been a creative mind and with an entrepreneurship in mind.
Okay. Going to a boarding school, did that scare you? Yeah.
Best schooling days of my life.
Really? I love it.
Honestly, I thought that I was missing because I had my own responsibility. I was overwhelmed with the fact that my parents thought I was responsible enough to stay away from home. This is a little enlightenment into my family life. Yes. My mum brought up 4 kids on her own as a single parent, and I was the only one who went to boarding school. And my fantasy as a kid, because I was a very sensitive kid and very inward, was that my fantasy was that I wanted to be an only child. So me going to boarding school, I know it sounds awful, but it's the truth. I'm being transparent. I always thought that my space was always loud and kind of, brothers and sisters interrupting. So that was, for me, that was my everything. I was like, right, I'm a young adult. At a very young age, I was introduced to different languages, different cultures.
Really?
In fact, that's where my business, I don't want to go too too far ahead too quickly, but
Yeah.
it was a lady at boarding school who actually took me aside and taught me about Black Wall Street. She taught me Black history on the side, which was
A
very
black
taboo.
lady or a white lady?
No, a white lady who was married to a Nigerian. Yeah.
Okay. So that gave her
And
some consciousness. Yeah.
yeah, and she
Yeah.
taught me Black history on the side, and one of the lessons that she taught me about was Black Wall Street, in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I love it.
Yeah, and that's my introduction. People often say to me, "Why Black Wall Street, London? Why is that the title of your business and your concept?" And that's actually why. I was too young to know what to do with it at boarding school, but it
Okay.
stayed with me because she taught me about not the massacres, the burnings, the murders, and all of the negative stuff, but she taught me about the epicenter of Black business and
Yes.
culture, where they had
Yes.
trains and planes and education system and all of that. And that stood with me. It still does.
Yes. I love it. Okay, let me ask you this. And I don't pull no punches in this regard. I use this term. Did they call it when you got to that boarding school or into that other school that it was you were such a more minority in terms of other students? Did they call you nigger?
Absolutely not. So it's one place in my schooling life where color never came into it. It's
Oh,
weird. It's
really?
so weird. And I feel blessed in that way because for many people it's the other way around. When you're outside of your comfort zone, people tend
Yes.
to no, it was the other way around. But I must stress that there were so many different cultures there. So I wasn't a one in a million or a one of a million. I
I
was
got you.
just it was just the norm. In fact, the minority were white people. There was Asians, there was
Oh,
Africans, West
really?
Indians. Yeah,
Okay.
so it was a different type of schooling, and like I said, the best years of my life, best schooling years of my life.
When you were young, did you know racism though? Not I'm talking about even outside of school in the neighborhood. When does racism in people in London, when does it rear its ugly head, let's say?
Yeah, so unfortunately for me, my introduction back into the public school arena
Yeah.
after boarding school was where I learned that I was Black, if that makes sense. Where it was more brought to my attention, where um, I experienced or witnessed racism, and that was in my own back garden, if that makes sense. Again, because it's manufactured that way, you know. But yeah, unfortunately, when I got back, I was the Black kid again, you know.
When that happened, who did that to you though? Because you
Well,
were around other Black kids, so was it them telling you that and saying those things, or the administrators, or something? Who said that to you?
no, no. So I mentioned before that my mum fought the battle of letting me go to a school outside of my catchment area,
Right,
and that was predominantly white.
right.
And that's where I was literally one of very few. Maybe there was two of us in the whole school, so I was the only Black girl throughout, my class, throughout the school. And that's where I was kind of singled out, and that's what it brought to my attention that yeah, I'm Black.
They singled you out by doing what?
Well, it would be, I guess, passive from the teachers. Um, but yeah, it was the kids. Kids can also be quite
That's
cruel
what.
in
Yeah,
their
right,
curiosity,
right,
you know. And
right.
I don't think, in some respects, I don't think it was coming from a malicious place. I think it was a curious place. And then off the back of that, an innocence of maybe just repeating what they heard at home.
I bet you.
So there was a lot of, can I touch your hair? Is
Yeah,
that your
right.
real hair? Does your skin wash off? Does that color wash off type thing?
Oh, really?
When you sweat, does your skin drip brown and all
Oh,
sorts?
really? Those are the common things. Okay. And so, but now, did you face any? And I want to stay on it just a tad, a little bit more. Did you face any? Because you was jamming. I know you was getting all A's and all that. You blowing all them white kids out. Did they try to do something so that you couldn't excel or look better than one of them? Did you face that? Like, okay, the class valedictorian, and they said we can't give it to the sister. She's the only one in the school. Anything like that?
Yeah, so there was many times where there was a possibility of that, but my mum always dictated that I be the best at whatever it is that I'm doing, and I took that with me and used it as my sword.
Yeah, I
So I
love
was
it.
Yeah, I was very well known for, my athletics, my netball, all of the sporting activities. And off the back of that, because I guess this sounds so awful, but this is how I felt as a kid. I actually felt that they needed me because I was a sports star. Everything else fell into place. Academically, I was bright, so there was never a problem there. So yeah, I think within the system, they had no choice but to be real.
Yeah. Now, yeah, you said that lady taught you about Black Wall Street and maybe told you some other things. But like in the public schools, do they talk about Black history from a London perspective or any perspective?
Yeah, so Black history is non-existent, or at least in my schooling days, it was. Black history came in the form of maybe a little bit around Africa, and it was always a negative connotation. In fact, that's probably when I was doing, religious ed, geography, history, as in not his story, not our story, his story.
Yeah.
So it was always whitewashed, or when it was being taught very liberally, about Africa, that's it. I guess then is when I felt singled out. I see eyes on me or feel eyes on me. And then my blackness was brought to attention in even more derogatory ways, when you're talking about monkeys or they're talking about monkeys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, you know how it is.
Yeah,
You're
sure,
talking
sure.
about Africa, and they immediately go to monkeys and coconuts, and it was very superficial. There was no substance in any Black history that I remember being taught. History was taught, but as I said, it was his story, not our story.
Yeah. Okay, well, but what about in your family? Because did you know the what had happened in your ancestors and the Caribbean islands? Did you hear those stories? Did y'all sit around the table and talk about it to some extent?
Yeah, absolutely. My mum would drum it into us. She would give us references. She would give us lip service in regards to repeating stuff that has been taught to her, so brought down from generations. She would always reference her parents, grandparents, great grandparents. Yeah, most
Okay.
definitely. I think my best schooling years, obviously, as I said, was boarding school, but my most influential history schooling years was done at home,
Yeah.
definitely.
Did you ever go to and visit your family that you might still have in the Caribbean?
Yeah, so I've been to Jamaica. Unfortunately, I was kind of too young to remember it in any
Okay.
particular way. One other big reference for me is that my uncle, Raj Jubilani, he's been in Harare in Zimbabwe since as long as I can remember. So the stories that he would come back and
Okay.
once in a blue moon bring to us was everything.
So do you know like where the plantation is in your family or how you all got to Jamaica? Have you done research yourself to learn more?
Yeah, so this is something that is it upsets me in a way. That's the only way I can put it. I'm going to try and just
Yeah.
continue to be transparent. Is
Yes.
my mum's story is so deep and so full of shame, guilt,
Really?
um, negativity that it's only in recent years that I've really had a one-to-one with my mum where we've come full circle from positive to negative back to positive, where I guess I've been grown enough to give her a moment to hear her story. Because when you're growing, it's all about you, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're very selfish in our ways.
Sure.
But just a couple of years ago, and I'm like 46 now, but a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to sit down with my mum and she told me about her, down to her father, the plantation that they were on. We tried to do a little bit of research around all of that. Very personal. As kids, although my mum taught us about Black history per se and the fight, my mum's story was very much kept a secret, you know. And if there was any questions around that, and I do think that this is a cultural problem that we face, again, just my opinion, is that I lived in an era where, although my mum gave us freedom of mind, at the same time, kids should be seen and not heard. So
Okay.
even down to my mum's age, I honestly couldn't tell you my mum's real age. I've never seen her passport. It was a taboo question for us to ask my mum, disrespectful in some ways even. My mum's story is so deep. I mean, I said to her, you could probably write, 4 or 5 books in one, so deep. So that's a really hard subject
Yeah.
to touch on in the real, because Yeah, it was very painful for my mum growing up and her experiences. So she carries a lot of shame, guilt, yeah, and negativity. And so for her
Okay,
to put that
I mean,
upon
you
her
tell us what you
children,
might, you say what you might, but it's painful because of the racism she felt. Did she grow up in Jamaica or whatever the island she grew up there, and she came to London, or
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
my mum was kind of, I guess I could only say, snatched away from her dad, and came to live with her mum, my gran, in London when she was very, very small. So she kind of got snatched, I guess is the only way I could put it.
Oh,
Um, for whatever reason, I'm not even sure
yeah,
what
yeah,
forever
yeah,
reason.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know my grandfather was an army man, so I'm not sure. It's a
yeah,
blur. But I know it was unwillingly for my mum, and my mum had a very strenuous relationship with her mum. So my mum
okay,
was unwillingly brought to the UK, but made the most of what she could do.
yeah, yeah. But now there is a story where they, as I said earlier, in my remarks, where black people from the different Caribbean were invited to London. What was that about? And that's not your mom's story, but you know of people who, because you're not the only one. There's a big community of Caribbean people in London. They all
Yeah.
came back for what reason? I mean, can you enlighten us a little bit more on that?
Yeah, well, definitely, I think it's the Windrush area.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, I believe so. People were promised jobs and a better life, and the pavements were paved with gold and whatnot. A manufactured story to get many people over here, and people are still paying the repercussions of that fairy tale that didn't exist. I guess in one light, my mum may have been one of those kids.
Yeah. Because there was a thing called the Notting Hill riot. Are you familiar with that? If I'm
Yeah.
saying that correctly.
Yeah, so I think that the Notting Hill riots, again, it's just a one in a million, 1 in a million of protests, riots that have been organized to voice our need for freedom. It wasn't the first, it wasn't the last.
Oh,
It's weird
really?
because in one way, this is why I try and keep everything positive, because I truly believe our ancestors did such good work, and or at least my generation, I think we rest on our laurels a little bit. We might cry out about slavery and whatnot, but we got it good. We got it good. In fact,
Sure,
again, just
sure,
my personal opinion,
sure,
just my personal opinion, I don't mean to
sure,
offend anyone,
sure.
is we got nothing to be crying about. We need to utilize what we have and
I
move
love it.
forward in a positive light.
I love it.
My ancestors would be ashamed of us.
I
That's how
love
I
it.
feel.
I love it.
There's too
Yeah,
much good work to be done, and we're standing still. We're resting on our laurels.
yeah.
We need to be innovative. People have been marching for 400 years plus, and it's still the same old story. This subconscious bias, the racism is in the society's DNA. So we got to think innovatively. We're the children of the future. We can't still be doing and resting on the laurels and manifesting ourselves into change today.
I love it. When you used America's history at Tulsa, Black Wall Street, to signify your business and your attitude. Why couldn't you have used a similar story out of London? Is there a story like that out of London, that there was a black community or something? Because if you used America's, you have to explain to some of your people why you do it and what that means, I'm sure.
Yeah. So again, I get asked this question so often, and I guess for me, it stems from my childhood. Like I said, when I was in boarding school, this amazing woman brought many things to me. But as I said, I was an entrepreneurial kid. My mind was always clicking that what I wanted, while people like, I want to be wife and kids, I was like, no, I want to go and see the moon, and I want to go and see this. I want to travel the world and speak different languages and stuff. So that was always clicking. So I honestly believe that I latched onto this story because I was enthralled with this epicenter of Black business and culture, because everything I'd known before was that Black people's history started with slavery. Wrong. Black people are never going to get anywhere. Black people are not business minded. I'd heard all of the negatives, you know. So when I came across this story again, I'll repeat that I was too young to know what to do with it, but the positives hit me like a ray. You know, I was like, they had trains and planes. Hold on a minute. I thought these people were running around barefoot in the jungle with bones through their noses. That's the story that I was being fed up until that point. You know, so when I heard about the story, Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I was like, wow, this is amazing. You mean we've done this already? You know, we're fighting, everybody around me is fighting for freedom and fighting to make something of their life. But you're telling me we've actually done this already in excellence. So that's why it's not like I took the idea, it was fed to me, and it stayed with me.
Well, have you read a book or two about what has happened and what the Black Wall Street, and seen documentaries and that kind of thing to give you even more in-depth knowledge of that scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was older and mature enough to digest all of this information, I definitely did my own research, and it enthralled me even more. It's like an encyclopedia for me.
Okay.
And I know that business didn't start there either, but I was just so overwhelmed with one, the beginning of it was that they actually had this amazing region because they weren't allowed to do anything on their own anyway.
Yes.
They weren't allowed into the white shops. They weren't allowed to, build their own businesses. So they were, I guess, given this land to a certain extent, or just had the crumbs, and they built this out of nothing. So that's what enthralled me. You can actually make something magnificent out of nothing. And I do that very well, just taking that example.
Well, but did that ever happen in London, in the UK? Do they have a Black business community that, goes back to, I don't know, early 1900s, mid 1900s, or any point in time?
Yeah, I truly believe that there were little pockets of that happening, but not on the same scale, not even anywhere near on the same scale, I don't
really?
believe. And I guess, from that, I mean, look at, Black Wall Street, it was completely written out of history. So I guess they, whoever they are, had done a very good job moving forward to make sure that that never happened again. Written out of history completely, So I know that there were small pockets of that happening, but yeah, not on that scale.
But then also let me say, Tulsa was not the only example of that, even during that time. And so that was a Black Wall Street, and they say Durham, North Carolina. There are many of them, and you'll see them on my show where we talk about it, and throughout America, in all these various states and cities and urban areas, that we were forced in such a capacity that we rose to the occasion and built our own communities. Right. That was just one that, and it was, I don't even know, maybe we can say that was the largest one, but that was the one that hit the news the most because of the devastation that they felt. But there were others, tons of them throughout America that we can use to cite in such a way. But Black Wall Street really, and I've been there. Have you ever thought of going?
I thought about it just before COVID hit, actually.
Yeah.
I was watching a documentary, and it was brought to my attention that some of the people who actually live there don't even know that it happened. That's how much of a whitewash it was. And then COVID hit, and then, life gets in the way. So yeah, my thoughts are, I'd love to.
Have you ever been to America?
I have been to Florida, but just to see family as opposed to really spending time there and exploring and that type of thing.
Family here. Yeah. Matter of fact, the Black Wall Street in Tulsa just celebrated 100 years. Back in 2021.
Yeah.
They were 100 years, and I've been there. They featured me with that documentary that I did, and it made me cry, to tell you the truth, because they took me all around and showed me the different Black Wall Street districts, and because it extended so many miles. What are you trying to do with your business? What is your business, and tell us about it.
Yeah, so Black Wall Street London, I started it I have another business. So my passion is scent. So I have a luxury candle business as well.
Okay.
And whilst I guess I was on my business journey with my candles, I was going to expo shows and started off in car boot sales, markets on a small scale.
Okay, let me stop you. I don't mean no disrespect. Since I just said, show me, you got one of them candles there?
Yeah, yeah. It's a really hard one because
okay,
I haven't got any boxes here because everything's at the shop.
Yeah, sure.
I used to create at home, but now I use my shop. But this one is called Black Rose.
Okay, and so you make the candles, you make the wax and everything.
Yeah, I make the candles. That's my passion. That's my therapy, as I call it.
Okay, let me stay on that just a second. I'm gonna stay on. You got a shop, you got a store that people can come to get your candles, or that's where you do it at, or what?
Yeah, so I have a Afrocentric retail store.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
Yeah, so I started Black Wall Street, London, whilst on my journey with my candles. And with my candles, I always thought, you know what? I don't want to be doing this in marketplaces and car boot sales. That's great, but I want to be on a shop shelf like everybody else. Couldn't get in, so I was blocked in so many ways.
Oh, hold on. You were blocked how? They wouldn't rent you the space?
Yeah, it's a hard market. You know, the candle market is a hard market. You've got so many big guns like Yankee Candle, Joe Malone, sorry, who have huge organizations. And I was just an independent candle maker with a passion, you know. So it was hard to get, and I didn't have the finances to do it. So, you know, to get on the department store shelves, you have to pay, and I didn't have the money.
Sure.
So I thought, damn it, excuse my good French, I'm going to make my own shop, and I'm going to bring as many Black-owned businesses along with me as I can. And that's where Black Wall Street London, the brainchild, started, you know. So in London, I started off doing pop-up events. So I would hire out a huge venue. I supported 100 Black-owned businesses. So I'd invite those businesses and then create an audience. And we would just have pop-up events where, you know how it is, people would come and buy the wares and would spread brand awareness.
I got you.
Off the back of that, on my first year anniversary, as a gift to self, I said, I'm going to transition to retail. We can still do better than this. We don't need to be in a basement. We can be in a store of our own. So I piloted my first shop, my first Afrocentric retail shop in Camden, in the heart of London, one of the busiest high streets, Camden High Street. And I invited all of the Black-owned businesses along. I supported 100, like I said. And it was a great pilot. Obviously, COVID hit. I had to pivot in business, lost a lot of money, sat on it for a while. And then instead of going back to London, I thought, I won't say London is oversaturated with Black-owned businesses, but we're doing okay.
Oh, really?
So my thought was, here in Devon, there's nothing. So I thought, let me try my luck here and see how it goes. There's not that many Black people here, but we already know our greatness. My passion is spreading our brand awareness outside of ourselves, and money is green.
Yes. So you do that. So do the white people? I'm sure they do because it's not many. White people support you for your efforts, and they're conscious folks that have come out and what have you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an eclectic mix of customers. We have been very well received. It's past the stage of curiosity now. The Afrocentric market is huge. Even if people don't want to admit, the trend are Afrocentric products all day long. People of all cultures love it, So in our shop now in Devon, we do everything from homewares, African art, food, beverages, fashion, jewelry, all Black-owned businesses. And we're in a shopping centre, so we also bottom feed off the big guys. So the footfall's not too bad, The clientele, They get to see the stuff that they wouldn't normally see.
Right. And so you're in in a business district in Dublin, or on a main thoroughfare street, so on and so forth?
So yeah, we are in a shopping centre. We are in Green Lane Shopping Centre, Unit 24 in Barnstable in Devon. And so, we're amongst the big players like, TK Maxx, like JD Sports, like Vodafone,
really?
Pandora, all of those big cats. We are right there beside them.
I love it.
Yeah.
Are you the only Black-owned business in that shopping center and so on and so forth?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what I also do is I'm super passionate about sharing the space because it's magnificent. And I also do in-store events. So I try to educate in a subtle way. So we do like spoken word poetry, literature night.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
We do
Yeah.
like book signings. So we have amazing authors come and talk about their journey and in turn sign their books and sell them. You know, we do candle making. We had a big fashion show a couple of weeks ago where we had 21 models. They were all our customers from age 2 to 87. And I just cross over trends, you know?
And so it's open 6 days a week or something like that, or 7 days a week, right? It's that kind of thing now.
6 days a week. So it's me,
Yeah.
myself, and I. So I need one day off, but six
Yeah,
days a week,
yeah.
9 till 5.
Um, have you been written up in the paper and so on and so forth for this?
Yeah, absolutely. And one way that I was taught to get my own way in regards to press releases is write your own. You know, editors don't want to go through the mess of writing up for you. This is a different era. So I set my own precedents and I write my own press releases. I hit all of the editors in the area and it's job done, nothing for them to do. So they can't help but kind of run with it. So we've had some great press releases, yeah.
Yeah. And now, have you gotten some pushback from some business community though for being who you are in any regard that you don't mind saying? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I think right now, I think we are in a, whether it's lip service or not, we are in the Black Lives Matter era, which is trending. I hate the, you know, saying it like that, but it's a trend almost now, which is
Yeah,
sad.
yeah.
So a lot of people are, I wouldn't even say woke, superficially woke. So there's a lot of tick boxes that need to be done. So I am riding that wave. Yeah, I am riding that wave. So the shopping centre that I'm in, they have been super, super, super supportive in everything that I do. The community has come out in abundance and supported us. I think it's brought a lot of the Black people who are in this region out of the woodwork. You know, people almost like, wow, you know, I can't believe there's something that we can tap into and relate to. You know, the negatives, yeah, you get some of them, but I honestly believe I don't even tap into that. You
Yeah,
know,
sure. No, no, don't need.
I don't think racism is a Black problem. You know, so I don't make it my problem. So if you don't like what you see, do a
Yeah.
180 and go about your good business.
I
That's
love
the way I look at it.
I love that. Do you is this propelling you to like become a member of the Chamber of Commerce of the city, or people not talking to you saying, "Hey, you're pretty smart. We like what you're doing, and we need you on in a political office or anything like that." Is that?
Yeah, so I'm not that way inclined. I'm actually a member of the Chamber of Commerce here
Yeah,
for Devon and Plymouth. So I thought that was a great way to be innovative in business and not just reach out to Joe Public, but also to the corporations. So I
yeah.
shout loud and proud about who we are all across the board. So I'm actually a member and I kind of highlight that on my website, loud and proud. In regards to going into a political field, I like to stay in my lane. That's not
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I gotta ask you a question. Is that your house that you're in now?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a nice looking place. Is it a house, an apartment, or you?
Yeah, so it's a barn conversion. So it's 4+ bedrooms, five, but one room is really tiny, used as an office. 4 bedrooms. We have cows and sheep. We're on about 2 acres of land. It's an unused
Oh,
or
really?
non-working farm. Um, I'd love to show you my views, but I don't know if the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me ask you this. And I'm changing gears just a tad. From what I hear, that Black people in London, they don't, as you do in America, have the way to excel up the ladder,
mm,
particularly in the corporate ladder. Is that
mm-hmm.
is that the case, or can you be a Black lawyer and be the partner of a law firm or anything like that? And I'm not talking about a Black law firm, but a white law firm. Can that happen? Do
Yeah,
they have Black heads of corporations or anything like that?
I believe so. I mean, obviously, I think there's definitely a bias there.
Yeah.
Always will be. Like I said, the fight is real. You know, it's not a quick fix.
Yes.
So yeah, you have some people who excel. Um, on the majority, I knew from a very early age that I didn't want to work for anybody.
I love it.
And yeah, I always felt that, I mean, I had a great career before I started working for myself, but I always felt the squeeze. I always felt that I had to work a little bit harder or show
Oh,
up a little bit more to be
really?
heard or to shine, or that my skills were being used to shine on, shine other people's light, which is great. But after a
Yeah.
while, you're like, hold on a minute, I need to do something for self.
Yes.
And
Yes.
again, the only way you can help your own people as well is if you're in that position to do so. Business has been a great learning curve for me. When I first started, I just
Yes.
thought I wanted to help the world.
Yes.
But we have to pick up the slack, and this is what I mean in business. We've been using excuses for a long, 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 long time. And
Yes.
I think my generation, anyway, we need to step up. There's good work to be done, and we need to make a move, for the
Yes.
next generation. Because if we
Yes.
think this is hard, wow, I mean,
Yes.
I know there has been a shift. Again, in my opinion, there has been a shift, but I still believe that it's superficial. I don't think anything has changed because of the BLM movement or whatnot, or George Floyd, whatnot. Nothing has changed.
Yeah, that's so true. Have you thought
So we
about
need to
going
work
back
it
and
out in business.
have you thought of opening up another store back in London now that you have all this expertise? Is that maybe something a way you can grow?
Yeah, this is how I feel. I First of all, the ego was huge. When I first started this, I'm going to put my hands up and be transparent again. The ego was so big; it's so easy to
Yeah,
get caught up in it, and what people are saying about you, what people are thinking about you, and you lose sight of what you want to do. You know, for me, the second time around after the pilot in Camden in London, now I feel that I have dropped my ego, and it feels like I'm doing this out of passion. So what I feel that I want to do for me to grow, I'm happy, because I think I need to do one thing 100% rather than cut myself up too much, which is
I
what I
got you.
tried and failed.
I got you.
So for me, if I can elevate other Black-owned businesses and show them that their products, their fares, their wares they can stand up alongside all of the other Joe Bloggs' products,
I love it.
maybe that will elevate them into a state where, you know what, I can have my own shop. And out of all of the businesses that I supported, and I would like to say collaborated with rather than supported, I've always said to them, my vision is to look out and next door there's, or whatever brand it is, a Black-owned business. Look to my right, next door is another Black-owned business. So
I
I
got you.
actually, rather than saying I want to expand myself, my vision is to elevate Black-owned businesses and Black-owned products so that they see that with hard work, it's not easy, but they too can get their own shops.
I
I don't
love
need
it.
to be Black Wall Street, London, everywhere, but
Yes.
we need to be everywhere.
Yes, yes, I love it. How do people support you? I mean, what's the website, that kind of thing?
So the website is www.blackwallstreetlondon.com.
Okay,
And we have so much information on there. We have a virtual market so you can shop till you drop, but we also have our workshop page where people can tap in and see what community events we have going on. In regards to supporting, for me, supporting is just like doing this, spreading brand
yes, yes,
awareness.
sure.
Yeah, spreading knowledge, spreading product awareness.
Yes,
So that's how I ask people to support. Come down, check out the website,
sure.
pick up the products, but also turn page and not just look at Black Wall Street London, but do a little bit of research into the products that are on there. Because all of these businesses, all of these products have their own journey, have their own story, which in themselves are amazing also. So, you know, again, I'm trying to shine a light on myself and I'm doing this for self, but the mission is also to just
Yeah, I
keep
love it.
spreading our greatness, you
You
know?
have black clothing designer in your store that sells some women's
Yes,
clothes, men's clothes, that kind of thing too. You found that?
yes. We have some amazing, amazing Black owned brands.
Okay.
Fashion wise, we have Fit Me Clothing, who does urban streetwear. Absolutely amazing. The founder's name is Texroy. And he literally does everything from A to Z, and does London inspired urban streetwear. We have Duo Do London, who are a mega team, Nigerian guy and an English girl. the Nigerian guy, Danny, he creates all of his pieces. He tailors them himself. So we're going from streetwear to more official, you know, so he does like waistcoats, jackets in kente materials and Kara prints. We have another amazing brand called Kuma London, and they do Afro-inspired women's wear. So, you know, we get our bonnets, beautiful skirts, dresses, all sorts of stuff going on, you know.
I love it. Well, hey, is there a question that I have not asked you? Anything come to mind that you wanted to share? I always ask people that. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but still.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just, again, highlighting the fact that in business, we need to make a move. We need to be innovative. Yeah, people are marching and protesting and doing what they can do there, but we need to be our own bosses right now. So it's a fearful thing. So I always say my mantra to life is feel the fear and do it anyway. You know, surround yourself with greatness. You know, somebody once said to me, my mentor is, you want to be the dumbest person in the class. All right. And this is where, like I said, my learning curve has been huge for me. And I've taken business into real life as well, because like I said, the ego is huge. And I always think, yes, I'm the star of the class. You know, I know everything. And on the flip side to that, I recently learned in business that no, actually, I want to be sitting at the feet of greatness.
I love it.
You know, I want to be the dumbest person in the class, so I am soaking up this information. And that's what I say. Always, if you're looking for a mentor, if you're looking for a support system, a community, go as high as you can, you know, go as great as you can. And don't be afraid to be the dumbest person in the class and learn, because, you know, the old saying, my mum used to say, if you can't hear, you must feel. Ooh, in business, that's real, you know, because the finances don't come easy because it's manufactured that way again. You know, funds are not accessible to Black people as they are to white people, no disrespect intended. So, you know, if you can't hear, you must feel. So my mission in business is to not make as many mistakes as, you know, my masters have. So learn.
Now, your mom is still alive. Is that correct? She sees what you've done.
Oh, yes, she is my cornerstone. So my mum drives to Devon from London. All of my family is still in London. And I'll give you an example. She was one of the runway models that we featured in our fashion show. And she thought she was Naomi Campbell. So she
I love it.
Oh, my goodness. Strutted her stuff.
Yes, I love it.
She's there for me, cornerstone, you know, rockstone, good, bad times, gets involved. Holds the fort for me if I need it to be held, and interacts as well. She's my everything.
I love it. Boom shakalaka, everybody. There we go. Coming up, one more question. Coming up is, and I think I'm right about this, is it September, October, Black History Month in the UK?
Yeah, so October the 1st to the end of October is Black History Month.
Black History Month, okay.
Yeah.
That was the case.
I'm going to try and keep it real with you. And I get so much stick for this, but I don't believe in Black History Month. Again, I think it's actually an insult, personally. However, lately I've been told that it's also a good opportunity to share love, share knowledge, you know, maybe again, not try to educate, but share. So this Black History Month, again, I've decided to turn it on its head and not shine a light on Black Wall Street, London, but shine a light on those who are doing good work in the community, in the Black community predominantly, and just to, you know, highlight again, amazing people. I'm talking past and present, you know. So for example, in store, we're doing a 10% off, but it's in homage to Black Pound Day, and it's founder Swiss who you know, founded Black Pound Day. And yeah, so that's how I'm kind of shining the light on him. Throughout the month, we'll be doing book signings, because for me, learning is fundamental. So let's keep it educational. And then, you know, I like real life stories of the present. So for me, Black history is highlighting people right now who are doing great stuff in the community, who have a story to tell. And of course, it stems, the core is from our history.
I love it.
If that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Very much so. Well, hey, give us the website once again so that that can close us out.
Yeah, thank you so much. So it's Black Wall Street London. The website is www.blackwallstreetlondon.com. And you can find out all types of goodies and information, workshops, products, brands, organizations on there.
All right. Hey, thank you so very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
I got it. Hey, now hold on, check this out. I've said this a few times, and I'm gonna say it this time. You an icon there. You ain't got to respond to that or nothing. You can say humbly, I don't know. But they all feel that about you. I can imagine, because you're putting others ahead of yourself. God will give you what you want. That's what he do. That's part of what he asked us to do, is to help somebody else out. And he'll give you yours tenfold.
Thank you.
You got a beautiful home there, so I know he's giving it to you. Nice outfit and everything. I know he's giving it to you. That's a beautiful thing. So everybody hit the subscribe button on Strong Inspirations. Hit the like button on this video, because there is no love button. Hit the notifications bell and tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. We give it to you from all over the world. I get lucky enough to find icons like this lady. And
thank you so
lucky
much.
enough not just to find her, but for her to agree to come on. And so,
like I said, sorry to cut you. Like I said, all right, as much as you're giving praises, I never thought it would come full circle. I watched you, like I said, on the Black Books webinar.
Right.
And I was inspired so much. So for me,
really?
it's, right back at you. Honestly, it's inspirational. I like to be inspired by people that I feel that I can touch, that are reachable. And you are one of those people. So it's weird, a year or two down the line that we're sitting here now bumping heads. So thank you so much.
How about this? I'm coming to London. I'm going to come to your store, and I'm going to have a lot of money, because your money worth more than mine. I know how that is. I've been to London. I couldn't do nothing but buy nothing in the flea market. I bought four leather jackets, and 2 of them I still have. And that had to be 20 years ago. I ain't gained no weight. But, your money is worth much more than ours. But now I got a little more money these days. So I'm coming to London. I'll meet you. And then I'm going to keep you in touch, because you need to go to Tulsa. We need to figure out, you need to go see that. It's an easy flight, once you get to America from New York or whatever. Take you a week away from there or something like that. You'll like that. Everybody, boom, there it is. And so to you, my sister, I say this with all sincerity. I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind, keep dreaming, keep working, keep helping people, keep coming up with those candles, your own product, your own scents. It's blowing up. No question about it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.